Hey everybody, welcome to the Print Theory Podcast. Welcome. Salutations.
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
ready?
I like how you waited a little bit longer
I like
for that.
let it
He was
be.
jamming to it. He was like,
It's really grown
I
on
was
me.
filling the air. That's what I
I was
was.
feeling
really
the
good.
air. I love that. That is so cool. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Pretty good. Good to be here.
For those of you guys who are looking right now, we got a new guest on the show.
Yep.
Everyone say salutations to, what's your name?
Daniel.
Ooh, another Daniel.
another
and
Dan.
You mean Dan? Daniela?
Three Dans at
and
this
Lil
table
Dan.
now.
I'm called
Little
Lil
Dan.
Dan.
We
Yes,
got
little
Dan, and Bran.
Or Daniel.
3 Dans and a brand.
3 Dans.
Welcome to the Print Theory Podcast.
3 Dans and a
Welcome,
Bran
welcome.
walk into a store.
Tell us about yourself.
I work at Print Theory.
Oh, yeah.
How long have you been at Print Theory?
3 years, I think. I've been working there since my sophomore year.
Uh-huh.
Dang.
That's
So you've
true.
been working here longer than
Yeah.
Daniela.
I've been working here for quite
In a
some
way,
time
yes.
now. Yeah.
Consecutively, yes.
Consecutively.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Last podcast you said 2.5. No,
Yeah,
2.
remember
2.5.
I had my alumni run,
Oh, yeah.
2018.
You're right.
Left, came back. But he's been here longer in a row than me. He has seniority.
I guess you do, Dan.
Technically.
Yeah. I'm
Technically.
old.
What do you do? What do you do at Print Theory?
Most of the cleaning. I'm kind of like a fill-in screen printer.
You do
I like
know
to-
how to screen print.
I like to call
Yep.
myself that sometimes.
You are a
Mhm.
screen
He
printer.
does.
You-
know how
I
to
would
do
call
that.
you a screen
You
printer.
do screen
Yeah.
print.
Off the podcast, he called himself the Print Theory. What'd you say? You're the print,
Janitor.
the Print Theory janitor. He said you're more than that, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're more than that.
That's
I'm
also
Print
such an
Theory's-
important role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without your process, like we can't print.
I guess.
It's true.
Yeah.
You take the boxes out.
Cleans
you
the
take the trash
screens.
out. You clean the
Cleans the
screens.
squeegees,
Yeah.
blood
You
bars.
reclaim. That's like
It's
Mhm.
it's
half the
you
job.
need that.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Mhm.
Coding screens is pretty painful.
Okay, so for the first probably 6 months of me working here at Print Theory, besides the first like Dan kind of running, showing me around, I didn't know really how you coded the screens. Actually, maybe longer than 6 months until we got into the new shop. I walked into the dark room, and you're coating the screens, and I'm like, oh, that's how that works.
I remember that.
You remember
Yeah,
that?
no, I remember that.
I was like, whoa, you do
was-
it by hand like that?
It was always just a mysterious process that happened in the room that you didn't see.
Yeah.
The door was always closed,
Door
so-
was
Well,
always closed.
I'm sales,
They
so I
just
don't
appeared.
necessarily need to know.
Yeah.
But I should know. At that point, I realized I should probably know
to
how. No, let's
How
not
to
get
code.
crazy. I should probably know what it looks like
Mm.
to coat a screen.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a technique. There's a process.
Yeah, how do you do that, Dan? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Maybe explain it to me because I still don't know.
So I guess we have these gallon buckets of emulsion, and what we do is we fill up this scooper. I guess I don't know how to describe
Scoop coat.
Yeah, scoop coat.
Yeah.
And I don't know
What,
how
a
to
scoop coat?
describe how it looks, but it's just
You should try describing how it looks.
it's. I don't.
It starts with the. It looks like.
I don't know. Can you put a picture of it? You think so?
Take a look at the screen. There'll be a picture
Right here.
of
Right
a
here.
bucket of emulsion.
Right here in my hand.
Scoop
Oh,
coat.
it's turned down.
Oh, it's
Anyways,
down.
but yeah, it's pretty much this. It's a scoop coat, as you called it, and you fill it up with the emulsion, and you just go to town.
See? Now I understand a little more, Dan. Thank you.
There you go.
And
Educational.
this is an educational podcast for those of you out there, for the most part. Educational for me, at least. Okay, guys, let's talk about this Disneyland trip. We talked about it in the last podcast that we were going, and now we have went. We are here. Guys, right now it is... Did you...
We have went.
We have went.
We
We
have
came
been.
and we conquered.
Came and we
Guys,
went.
it is nighttime here. We're at our Airbnb in Anaheim, Orange.
Orange,
Is
California.
it technically Orange?
Yeah.
We're in Orange?
Yeah.
We're staying in Orange.
Orange proper.
Orange, California. And it is nighttime and we're tired. We just spent 3 full days in Disneyland and it It was so much fun. What was your guys' favorite ride?
Ooh, that's easy.
Easy. Oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy,
That was.
Yeah.
formerly known as Tower of Terror.
Yep.
Cannot advocate for it enough. So
Of all
fun.
the rides that we went on, I think that one. Okay, so that was my first time.
Yeah,
going
this is
on
Dan's first
the
time.
ride.
What was your journey
Really
like
terrified.
deciding to go on that ride?
So I kind of wavered back and forth. I was like, all right. And then little Dan, said, yeah,
Nah.
I'm in. I'm going.
Dan, you said you were in.
Okay,
And then we're
I
all
never
in
said that.
line, and we're all like, okay, let's go. And so I'm checking everyone in because I have the passes.
We get to the lightning lane.
And then we're inside, and then where's little Dan? Little Dan decided to take off.
The last
He
minute
took
as he's
off when
checking.
nobody was
Oh,
looking,
man.
so no one could stop him.
No, we looked.
I was running.
You
Ran
guys,
for his life.
you guys were in
Running
front, and I look back, and all I hear is, "I'm going shopping." Just like walks back, and then there's like multiple people that come in right after us, and we're like, "Oh,
He's gone.
Dan's gone."
He's gone.
And then,
We lost him.
and then Dan's like, "Oh right," and he's like, "Wait, where's Dan?" And he's like, "Dang it!" He's like, I was only gonna go on if he was gonna go on. And it's like, well, no turning back now.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
already in. I raised my hands. It scanned me in, right? Doors opened.
I know that.
Oh, man, terrifying.
Terrifying.
That
And
was-
then the people next to us in line, she was freaking out. She's
Yeah.
like,
It
I
made him
hate
freak
the
out
Tower
more.
of Terror.
Yeah.
She had never been on that one. Yeah, so
Dan
sat
was
down.
sweating.
First row.
First row.
First row.
First row.
Yeah,
I
Dan's
didn't
mouth
know
got
that.
dry, and they
Yeah,
had to give him
I-
some water.
Yeah, no, it did. I was like, Nathan, and if you know me, I don't like sharing stuff. But I
does
was
not
like, I
partake
saw his
in team building.
backpack and there was water there, and I was like, Nate, could I just have a little bit of
A
water,
little sip.
please? And he's like,
That's all I
wait.
need.
He pulls out this brand new, fresh, cold still bottle of water, and I'm like, oh man, oh, it was so awesome. I drank most of that bottle, but yeah, it was terrifying. I think the initial, like, the doors closed, you kind of move back, and then he unplugs the machine, right? Rocket.
What was going through your mind?
Oh, that first one, I was like, what did I do?
What did I get myself into?
What have I done?
Yeah, and then it dropped, and then I was like, okay, I'll just hold my breath. And that,
I still don't know why your strategy
How does
was
holding your breath
holding
work? How does holding your breath like a self-defense
make any
move?
sense.
I think I was just afraid of, like, barfing or something. I don't know.
The ride's like 3-4 minutes long. Dan's like,
Yeah. and then we go, and it lifts us up again, and then all I see is Brandon go.
dude,
Caught some air.
yeah.
He flew.
If you're not watching online,
He flew.
I'm not a
Yeah.
big guy. I'm not. And if it wasn't for that seatbelt, I would be in zero gravity.
I was also
I would
flying.
be at the
I was
top of
flying.
that
Yeah,
pod.
both
in
of
the
you
air.
guys,
Yeah, not
It's
on
like,
the seat.
I mean, even I flew, so it was pretty pretty forceful.
Well, I heard
So
it
fun.
takes you by force.
Yeah.
Takes you down by force.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Nate was
up
saying that
again.
too. Weren't you saying that, Nate?
Yeah, it goes faster
Oh,
than
right.
Yeah,
gravity.
Ryan was saying
When you drop.
stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ryan. Oh, Ryan.
Oh, Ryan.
Oh, Ryan.
Where's
Sorry,
Ryan?
bud. Ryan's down bad. I'm sorry. I love you, Ryan, if you hear this, but it's okay. He's not feeling good.
He's sleepy.
He's just a little sleepyhead.
He's snoozing.
He should have been on this podcast.
Ryan's our press operator.
An
Who
amazing
will
one at
be
that.
here one day.
He will
to
be here
introduce
on one
himself.
of these episodes. Okay, so Dan, we want to talk to you a little more today. So we did our intro last week, this week, released it this week, recorded last week. And we're doing this podcast, it's going to kind of encapsulate, go over a lot of the screen printing, industry, but we're not wanting to, keep it just only for that. But we want to talk a little bit today, for introducing more of our team members here at Print Theory and, what you do, but I also want to talk about kind of your journey. So what do you think was the hardest learning curve for you? Like getting into this industry, what was the hardest learning curve for you?
Working.
Getting to work on time.
Hey.
Actually, I can't talk. Sorry.
I'd say
hold on.
Hold on for me too.
I'd say just screen printing.
Because you
in
screen printed
general.
for a while.
Yeah.
And you still do. You still fill in help.
But mostly the whole idea of registering a design into the press is, I guess, what really was challenging for me.
So
I
register.
thought, yeah.
Registering.
Yeah, registering.
Registration.
I'd say
Registering.
that's fair. It's a pretty hard thing to do. Yeah.
But
Can you explain what registering is for those who don't know?
Yeah, not for me.
So I guess in a way, there's multiple heads in the on a press, and what you would do is each like color or layer would have its own screen, and you would in order or find like the right order depending on what color you want where. You would put the screens up, and you would just pretty much just line them together.
So your design comes out clean.
And I've seen when a design is not registered, like that
it's
is a real
noticeable.
like
It's real noticeable.
it's a job breaker right there.
Yeah, it's
The screen's not
hurts.
registered.
It hurts.
It hurts.
It does.
It does a job. It does a job bad.
But yeah, I'd say registering was
Was yours?
my complication.
That's awesome. Well, it's not awesome.
To Dan's credit, this guy started when he was a sophomore.
Yeah, I was still underage.
He's a big boy now. He's 19.
19.
19 this week, guys.
2 days.
2 days,
2 days
ago,
ago.
our first day at Disneyland was his birthday.
My birthday.
He, as a junior and senior, printed, like legit printed tees.
I remember one time it was a pretty big print, and that's when we had my sister come in, and she caught the shirts. I remember
Caught
it
the
being a
shirts
super
off
big
the-
pile, and my sister was like,
What
a
is
lot
he
of-
doing?
"It's a lot of shirts."
And he's like, yeah, show that respect.
This is what I do.
This is what I do.
Yeah,
That's cool.
not very many, junior and seniors can say they can work like that. It's a big thing.
It's a lot. Even with the automated press,
Yeah.
like it's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I wasn't there for the manual screen printing.
Glad I missed those days.
He's like, glad I missed those. I'm glad I was still in junior high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was elementary school when that was happening. Okay, so Daniela, sorry, I know you're taking a sip. My bad. So, what was your hardest learning curve coming into the industry when you did? I know you do a lot for us, and so it's probably a vague question. But like, what was your hardest learning curve that you had to kind of get over?
That's a good question. I think when I transitioned from being just like graphics help to having the responsibility of like managing the schedule and
lot.
production flow, that was a steep learning curve because you have to critically think about what order to do things in, and there's no like, oh, just train this way, follow these rules, and do it like this. You have to like know enough about each job to problem solve, and also make sure it gets done in an order where it gets done the fastest. And it's very hard every day.
It is. I go
Still
to
on the curve.
I go to Daniela and I sit at her desk, or she hears me when I come out of my chair, and I come out of my
I
chair.
hear his office chair squeak, or I hear the sound of a Post-it note being ripped off after he finished writing
And
on
she's
it.
like,
and I'm like, all right,
no, brace
it's
myself.
time.
And I go, okay, hypothetically speaking,
It's always hypothetical.
Hypothetically.
if someone needed a rush job, like by 2 days away,
Tomorrow.
they're like, can we do this? She looks at me and she always says, I don't know, can we? Actually, she doesn't say that. She says, well, let me check. Let me look at the schedule. And I can understand that's hard. And I'm just trying to be like, I just want to get this sale over here.
Well,
and she
there's a lot
has
of
to. Like,
elements
there
to
is.
it. Are the shirts local?
It's
Do we
true.
have artwork? Do I have to make the artwork? Do we have other jobs that we're due first?
It's true.
It's kind of an ongoing thing that you always get better at, I think.
You do very well, though. I'm not
Thank
gonna
you.
lie.
I appreciate
It's
that.
it's a lot. It's like she has to know, not just about her, because she still throws in those sales in there. She has to not just know about her stuff, not just know about anything Dan does. She has to know about everything but she also, after I have approved invoices and they're like past graphics, even old graphics design, because you still do graphics design and stuff, she has to like just know everything. It's a lot. So,
Fun job.
so now my customers say, "Can I do this?" I say, "Hold up, let me check with my production
Give me
manager.
10 minutes. I'll call you back.
Give me 10 minutes, I'll call you back." And then I hit her with the hypothetically.
What
Okay.
did you do?
What
What did
did
you
you-
sell?
Yeah, that's what she was just going. What did you sell? Well, I haven't.
What did you promise?
I haven't. What did you promise? I haven't confirmed with them yet, but can we do this? And I really want to do this. And she understands.
Usually we make it happen.
Yeah. I think
Almost-
there's
I would
only,
say like 80% of the time we can make it happen.
probably more, honestly.
more,
I
yeah.
think there's only been a handful of times in this past year and a half that you've been like, I just can't. Or that you've told me, I can't unless you move one of your other jobs. And then majority of the time, I'll go to the schedule and be like, all right, I can move this. You know what? I just moved this
This
to this
person
thing.
will forgive me more than this person would.
Hey, if we're being real, that's, if you're listening, all my accounts, I love you guys. I do. And but there is, sometimes like, okay, this person won't be mad if they get their stuff 2 days after, they were expecting, because it's not a rush. But this
Yeah.
person has an event coming up,
Yeah,
and
well,
they
there's
really need
always
it.
different circumstances of like
especially.
they have an event on this.
And I think
day.
you guys are really, really lenient. Not lenient, but you guys are more apt to do it too when it's a new customer. And I'm like, hey, I have this potential new customer. Like, this is their first order, but they need this. And you guys are like, okay, like let's make them happy. Like let's really knock it out of the park. And so you guys are awesome on that. Okay, Daniela, thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Dan, Big Dan, El Capitan. What was your biggest learning curve or hardest learning curve coming into the industry?
Okay. I think after being in the industry, and it being kind of just like a 2-man operation, was trusting that others could do it.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Dang.
It's a
I could see that.
like I had to learn to let go of some of the things like graphic design and just say, hey, here you go. Like, I'll help you.
Here you
But-
go.
but-
Daniela's like, I felt that.
But same thing with like screen printing, and like if Sarah wasn't printing, it was either Dan or now we have Ryan, and it's like I have to trust them enough to that they would produce the quality that I would want, or Sarah would want, and so I think just in part like learning to let go and trust, and yeah, it didn't work out some of the times, but I mean that's how you learn. That's how you get better. What does Bruce Wayne say? Why do you fall? To learn how to get back up again.
Dang. Bars.
It's impossible to do everything. Ooh, bars.
Sorry, that was deep. It was kind of
No,
deep.
it's
It's kind of deep.
It's
Yeah.
impossible to do everything by yourself.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it is.
I actually low-key think that's a very untalked about part of especially screen printing industry. As I came in from like not knowing this, I came from the beverage industry for years and years, and sales, obviously, like sales the same, but coming into this industry and really, really got a grasp on it going to ISS. Like it really, really opens your eyes. And for me, I'm super pumped for next week coming up. But going to ISS, and then you guys have been like me being around you guys and talking about all the names of the different people that you like you knew, or the friendships you've acquired over the years of learning and trialing and getting into Facebook groups, or getting to know people from Rock or Brett from Printed Threads, or just kind of like going through different people. And you guys are like, man, the screen printing community really like rallies around each other, like really helps.
Yeah.
And then going to ISS, and you guys see these people on the floor, or you're like, hey, we're gonna go meet up with this person, and I was like, oh, that's that person that they were talking about. Like, oh, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
But it's really cool with the screen printing industry because of that. Like everyone wants to help. Even for this podcast already, like I told you guys kind of off throughout the day, like we already got three different companies lined up to come on this podcast. 3 other screen printing shops or manufacturing shops that are really big from either Northern California or Southern California or Washington that we already have that already, and are like, hey, we'd love to share our story on, you know, the ups and downs of learning the industry and where we came from and funny print fails because everyone has them. I had one of the people that reached out was like, "Oh, I got crazy stories, so insane stories that it was." So I'm excited for when we go there. But one thing also with the screen print industry is like how you're talking about is the trust. I think that's also why, and again, just, you know, this is no shade or anything to any print shop out there, but because of how hard it is, a lot of print shops stay to put the you know, the husband and wife kind of dream team there, or small. They want to maybe a third person because it's so hard to trust that it's going to get done to the caliber that, like as Sarah says, you know, they bottleneck their company. Yeah. And I think that's why, you know, by the grace of God and by, you know, the leadership of Dan and Sarah and the team that we have here, that we're just thriving. I mean, we're being blessed and we're like growing. We grew a lot this past couple years. Yeah, for sure. We've grown a ton. And even for me on the sales side, like it is so easy to get clients for us, in my opinion, because of how good our team is and the you know, how different we operate. And even with, you know, there's probably a good 15 plus print shops in our area within like a 25-30 mile radius. And it still blows my mind that I'm like, man, how are we getting these many accounts a month or every quarter? How are we getting these accounts? And they're still coming to us and we're 30 miles away or we're 40 miles away or we're about to close on some clients in this month that are, you know, 100 miles away or stuff that's out of our scope. And they're like, hey, we want to go with you. Yeah. And it's like, there's probably 50 other shops between me and you. Why do you go with us? And they're like, well, because you guys do what you say you're going to do. You guys, when I are doing the pitch, they're like, you even just said you have processes in place. I like that because that means I'm not going to get forgotten about. Like the biggest industry or the biggest kind of pitch for us on mine when I'm talking to like our new clients, I always kind of say, we print high quality merch, we always deliver on time, and we have a fun time. Like we got a great team. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, we have processes, we're not perfect, but we do everything we possibly can to let nothing slip through the cracks. And we have processes in place for different divs. And I say, we have a graphics design team at our disposal that is here for us. And just different stuff like that, talking points that really makes the customer feel at ease. And then when we deliver on what we talk about and how I pitch, because that's on you guys. Once I pitch it, I could pitch the crap out of it. And if we don't deliver, we're not going to get that client back. Yeah, for sure. And I think we've retained 95 to 98% of the clients that we've gotten in this past year. Yeah. There's only been a couple. I'm going to say that. There's only been a couple that we've had to let go.
I guess you can say that. I think one of the things when we started, it was just serving the customer well. I guess every shop has its own thing, right? But our thing is like serve. And sometimes we do it extremely well, and sometimes it's like, you know.
Sometimes we mess up.
I think sometimes it's a learning, it's a lesson on the ones that we're like, oh, we can't pull this off without having this in place, or we needed to do this instead. Yeah. I think that those times always stick with us. We don't forget them because we learn something from them. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, just serving well. I mean, I guess that's what everybody would want, right? Like if you buy something from somebody, or you just want good service. So that's our.
I mean, it's true. And every majority of our clients, as we're now starting, like we barely started really like, you know, hitting it hard on getting reviews. Like we get reviews verbally all the time, and our social media is blowing up. But like you go to Google and stuff like that, and
I look at it from time to time.
And like we haven't had a lot, and so I know we're really pushing it this year, like getting the reviews up, so when people go in, they see. But like verbally, when we're talking to these clients, and it's just it's not just us, because it's primarily, you know, it's God for us, but it's we are getting so much clients and business and repeat business from these types of accounts that other print shops that I know of, or at least have kind of like reached out to and talked to, that are like, how are you guys doing this? Like, how are you getting a school? Me and Nate were doing the analytics on one of our clients, and you know, not for to brag. I don't even know if it is a brag or not. I haven't talked to enough. But, you know, when you have like a school, I handle a lot of schools for us, and you have schools from what I've talked about with other print shops. It's kind of like they either love them or they hate them. Yeah. And it's really hard it's not just like you handle a business or a restaurant or, you know, a bar and grill, and they have the main manager, and that's all you have to go through. With schools, it's like you have the campus culture director, the activities director, and you have the office manager. And if it's elementary schools or middle schools, sometimes it's just the principal and the office manager or the learning director. And then you go to the athletics, and oh my gosh, you have all the coaches from all, and it's a lot. For print shops, they're like, I'm not going to do it. And then especially with schools who work on POs, thankfully we're able to accommodate and do that stuff. But then we were running the numbers on just one of our school accounts from the past. They placed their first order. I think it was like the first week in May of this year, not of this year, of 2023. Oh snap, we are in 2024. 2024. And I'm like, okay, in this past 8-9 months, whatever it was, 7-8 months of them doing business with us, they're doing almost $60,000 a year. And it's like just from this one department, their activities department, not even counting their athletics or what they're doing. So it's like, okay, if it's done correctly and, we are able to accommodate stuff like that, you can maximize a client. You just got to find your niche or find what you're good at and then just bank on it. And even though it's hard, if you're willing to do it, and like Dan and Sarah, I know you guys probably had to take a big, deep breath. I know you guys had to change some stuff on the back end to be able to accommodate, these schools or different business, bigger clients, like corporate clients that, are global, that are able, that, we need to take POs, or like corporate T-Mobile, or when we've done Amazon, or now we do like PCA and stuff like that, where we have to be able to handle those POs on the back end, but the business is there. It's just a matter of running after it and taking care of those people. But it's fun. It's fun.
What was your biggest learning curve?
Oh, man. I talked about it a little bit last week, but it was learning all the SKUs. Learning like what the difference is. Learning what the difference is in all the different SKUs that we offer, because every job is so custom. I think just learning, I guess it's the same thing in like the beverage industry. You learn your product. I was in energy drinks, and so I needed to learn our energy drink, and we only had 7, 8, 9 SKUs. And you learn those, and it's pretty easy. A month maybe. And with this, it's like if someone asks me a question, I don't want 100% cotton. Yeah. And I'm like, the first week I was like, let me just go
That's
on.
all we got.
I don't know. I want a different tea. I bet. Let me figure this out. And then you got 50/50s, and you have hundreds of different 50/50 blends, and you have tri-blends, and you have
60/40s.
the 60. Yeah, well, that was wild when I learned about the 60/40s, but also the best SKU. Next level, shout out. But it's learning all the different SKUs, and then learning them enough and how they genuinely feel and how they physically fit. Yeah. Knowing each SKU as to the best of your knowledge, so that way when you go to a client and they're like, well, I'm really, I want to stay cost effective, but I really don't want that 100% cotton feel. And it's like, okay, well, we have, the next level 60/40, and I know it's a mid-level tee and you're going to pay a little bit more, but I can get you that feel, and let me do whatever I can to work within your budget. Or maybe they're like, that's a little too expensive. And when we found the district perfect blend CVC, it was $1 something cheaper than next level. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then we brought it in, and we're like, okay, it fits like next level. It's a little long. So knowing it's just learning all the different SKUs. That was the hardest part for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I like to pride myself in knowing, our SKUs, but this industry, it is a lot. It's so much. And that's also why I can understand a lot of other print shops aren't growing at the pace that we are, choose to stay, because they're like, I'm just going to handle my friends and, the clientele that we have, because it's a lot to.
Well, there's been some times where I'll see an invoice come through because I do all the ordering.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, do they know about this tea? Did you explain that this is not the softest tea, or that on this tea might run too
it's
small?
It's true.
There's just so many factors.
So many.
Yeah.
And it's again, that's the hardest part for me. I'm a year and a half in, and Dan will still once in a while be like, hey, did you, or the A4s. like the forest green that we use for a lot. A lot of our clients happen to have forest green and like gold in their colors. And it's like, okay, majority of the SKUs that we've used, forest green is good, or like the heather forest green. But then you're going to like athletics, and we started using like the forest green, the A4's like cooling performance tee has, and it's lighter than almost every other forest dry fit tee, which I did not know until a couple times going in. They're like, hey, this is fine for now, like for this job, but can we use maybe slightly darker? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to choose a different brand then, because that's the forest they got. Yeah. But that was the hardest for me, and still is. And I think we'll continue to be, just continuing to learn everything I can about all the different SKUs. And now, because we're like a one-stop shop, and it's learning our wide format pricing calculator. Oh gosh. And like banner pricing and the different materials of that. Like, because we do so much, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think just continuously learn, like just making sure every week, like I'm constantly on our different distributors, or Sanmar, or Alpha Broder, or SNS, or A4, or Augusta, or Pacific Edware, or Richards, whatever it is, and learning like, okay, I'm just going to scroll through the different core blended teas that they have, or the different, performance dry fit teas that they have, and try and watch different videos of some like that they have. Like Augusta has some really cool like 20-second videos of that SKU on their website, and that really does help. So learning all the different SKUs.
Nice.
Long story short. Long story long.
Short story long.
Short story. Yeah. Sorry, that's me. Okay, so then I'm going to go around, and then we could probably end on this last question, but I'll go with, actually, either one of you guys first. But what has been, I talked a lot last week on mine, but what was your biggest fail to date that you can remember? That's like memorable. Maybe not your biggest, but what's your most memorable fail? Like, oh, I know.
I feel like there's been so many small ones, like not big enough to be like interesting, but so many, almost everything that I do, I've messed up at least once in a way that is irreparable.
A way that I cannot
We
repair.
have to order a new product. I don't know. I'll think on my biggest one.
Who wants to share first? Like, what's like maybe it's not the biggest, but if it is the biggest, at least like the most memorable.
I can't really think of like a super big one, but like when I started screen printing, and my biggest issue was taping off edge marks.
Taping off edge marks.
Oh,
that can do a job, man.
I'm just and I'm thinking of all of the hoodies or crew
That I
necks
messed up.
or anything.
Printed 2 beautiful reg marks on,
Mm-hmm.
nice and white.
multiple times.
Multiple times.
It just
I remember.
went around.
It just
I
went
remember
around once.
one time I was only one, just one.
You
benchmark.
taped one and not the other?
Not the other.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's even
Down
worse.
bad.
Yeah.
Big deep breath.
Embarrassed.
Yeah. Not the biggest, because I can't think of what the big one is, but we do a lot of heat pressing of numbers onto individual jerseys for teams. And that was like one of the first things
You
that
just
I
did
did.
a big order.
Yeah,
for
we
us,
just
too.
did a big run, which 0 mistakes.
Let's
Give me
go.
that horn.
Give me that one.
But it was one of like my main jobs when I first started. And you so the numbers like screen printed on backwards because it's going like face down on the jersey to come out right side up. For some reason, I would heat press 3s backwards all of the time. Like it was like a common thing that I would
Really?
heat press
Oh,
the 3
gosh.
backwards. Yeah. And this was when we were in the old building. There's something about like having to put it inverted just like really messed me up. We were in the old building. I would peel it off, see it was backwards. My heart would sink. Now I'd have to take my jersey to Dan's office. My offering, hold it up and say, I'm
Could we
sorry.
fix this?
Can we fix
We have
this?
to order another one. I did that a lot. But not anymore. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Had to learn it more than once,
Mhm.
but I learned it.
But I learned it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you did 200 and something jerseys, no mess ups. Good
Yeah,
job.
216
216.
to be exact.
216.
I counted every single one.
I felt every single 3.
And every 3, I double checked.
That was multiple places. That was screen printed. Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Screen print.
Screen print and
Two-color
4
front.
numbers, because there was a number on the front, number on the back, and the jerseys were reversible. So it was a total of
And then you also have the
400,
team sponsor.
and it had this sponsor on the shoulder.
Yeah.
So it was a total of 432 heat presses. Got my reps in. hmm
Nice.
Didn't you move like so many miles within that?
Yeah, my
Really?
my watch told me that my move goal was exceeded 200% for the day.
200%. Hey, you need to work out? Come heat press.
Yeah.
Come manual. Hotronics heat press. Okay, Dan, what do you think? What is your like a most memorable or a good one? Well, not good, obviously bad.
I mean, I guess there's been a few. I have misspelled my hometown.
You misspelled our hometown?
I remember.
Yeah, my hometown.
Yeah, Fallwer. Remember?
Fallwer.
Oh.
So we're printing. It's a 2-color, right? Because we're doing white.
I forgot. Oh, sorry.
And then gold on a navy blue shirt, and we're printing. I think there was it was a smaller run, but we got through like 30 shirts, and then we finally figured out that it's misspelled, and so we had to I had to reorder and do all that stuff, but I couldn't believe it. My hometown.
I couldn't believe it. I spelled what was it?
Folwer.
And
So
it's
the
supposed to be
W and the
Fowler.
L. Yeah, the W
Yeah,
and
the
the L
W
were
and the
flipped.
L.
It's Fallwer.
This is
Follower.
Follower.
And then Dan goes, well, do you want to buy these at a discounted rate? Just kidding.
No, those went into the test shirt box.
The test shirts. Hey, we need test shirts.
Yeah. Don't
Everything
worry,
can
Always
always
need
become a test shirt.
Look at it. You didn't have to buy test shirts.
Yeah.
Would you say your biggest is the measuring situation?
Yeah. There's
There's
been a couple
also-
times.
What is-
There was an aspect of it was measuring for signage, and his measurements were off. There was an aspect of that
I
that I,
don't think
also
you know
messed
about
up.
this stuff.
No.
That so that was a double whammy. When I was on the lift and I
Yeah.
dropped the decal,
Okay.
but that we fixed that.
Yeah.
There's multiple times
So,
where I messed up on measuring.
Picture 100-foot wall,
Oh, gosh. Oh, this is
with
painful.
a 14-foot graphic.
Oh, I remember this because I remember Sarah
Why do you look at me like that?
because she was telling me about you, and she was telling me, "Oh, I can't believe Brendan did
She
this."
said, bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah,
She said, "Brr, brr, brr."
she was gossiping about you, and I was like,
It,
"Oh,
it was
bad.
earned,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I was
on
just
my
coding
Yeah.
screens."
I had
and-
to.
He said I
She
was
was
minding
just-
my
she was
business.
just
She
sitting
came and
there.
said,
That's how
"Can't
bad
you
it
believe
was. She
Brandon?"
busted into the dark room.
You won't believe what
You won't
Brandon
believe
did.
You
what
won't
Brandon did.
believe what this guy did.
Yeah.
I just got to tell you, she's just walking around, goes out our doors, goes to resource compliance. You won't believe.
We had to resize that graphic like 3 times bigger.
Yeah, that wasn't even the first mistake.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the beginning.
That was
That was
as you guys are talking about yours, that was one of my top 2. That was one of my top 2.
What was your other one?
Yeah.
That was probably my worst, but the first memorable one that like still sticks with me is
To this day.
is the big mistake that earned me the first big mistake that stuck with me that earned me my special measuring tape that I have with the sticker on it that you guys gave me for Christmas that says measure twice, print once. That is a key for everyone out there. Measure twice, print once. That's a motto that I need to get tatted on me because it was bad. But the first mistake, the big one, was at Selma PD.
Oh, I forgot
you
about that.
I did not forget about that.
See,
Whoa.
it got replaced by the second measuring
Replaced
mistake.
by the other bigger one.
There's only room for one. In
No,
my
my
brain.
first
I
one.
forgot about the Selma
Yeah,
PD.
we
That
got
was bad.
okay. So we print this job for our awesome police department, and they got a new police chief from Follower. From Fowler, they got a new police chief in Selma, where me and Nate and Daniela lived for a while. Woo-hoo. And he is awesome. Shout out Chief Rudy Alcaraz. And he's like, hey, I want this really big wall graphic. I want this wall decal. They got the new police department. Everything's
Conference
new.
room.
They have a new conference room. Like everything's awesome. This is my first time being in it. And he's like, here's what I want. Show me. It's like this big, like 30-foot wall. And I'm like, I'm like telling him, this is dope. This is gonna come out so good.
This was like 2 months after you started working.
Yeah,
It was
it was
very
very,
early.
very early.
We should not have sent him
And-
by himself.
I mean,
Didn't know. I remember Dan specifically saying,
enough
he said, "Do you got
confidence.
this?" I said, "Yeah, of course I got this. I have my measuring tape." First mistake. First mistake.
Wait, pause. I just wanted to give everyone an idea of how Brandon measures. One time he was leaving for a measuring meeting to go measure for signage, and he was leaving in front of my desk, and me and Sarah saying bye, and I was like, hey, do you have your measuring tape? And he goes, nope. He was going to go measure without a measuring tape.
I was going to measure stuff, and I was measuring like outside gates of a school. I didn't have a measuring tape.
No.
I'm just like, I think this is
eyeball
100
it.
feet. This is like 86 and a half feet, probably.
This is 12 by 18 inches. Wait,
From
36
the
by
ground.
24.
I've made a lot of mistakes.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, this
Sorry,
mistake
keep going.
was, the first mistake was really bad. And so I measure it up and like, floor to ceiling width, and it's got a door. It has a door. So it has a door in between, like off to the right of this 30-foot wall. And then there's, a little bit more wall after the door frame.
You mean 21-foot wall?
Was it? See, I don't even remember.
It was 21, recorded as 18.
Yeah. Anyways.
No.
No, it was bigger, right?
So the full width, I said, he gave me the measurement. And
He asked me, so are you
I
sure?
said, Brandon, is this the full width from wall to wall or from wall to door? And he's like, no, I think wall to door. And I'm like, okay, so that's 21.
He's doing the
feet.
graphics and like, so
And
he
then
can
I'm
print
like,
everything.
okay, there's a 3-foot door, so that's 24, and then there's a whole nother little section. So
It was like a foot, right? It was like a
it's
foot or
like
something.
26 point something. So I make the graphic to just under 27 feet, and that's
The wall was only 21.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we start installing it. Sarah and I go to install.
And I'm there.
Yeah. It's literally, oh yeah, you are there.
Yeah.
It's
I remember.
wall to wall, floor to ceiling. Like we're covering the entire wall.
We're halfway in.
Yeah.
at
We
this
had
point.
to install in panels because it was so big. Like 2 feet wide panels or something.
4 foot.
4
4-foot wide panels. And we're 2 panels in. We have like 4 panels left, and there's less than half the wall left. So we're like, this math is not mathing. Honestly,
math is
if it were
not
up to
print
me,
math.
I would have probably kept going until the end because I was just focused on one panel at a time. And Sarah goes, this is not going to fit. We like hold up the rest of the panels. They're like wrapping around and like
It had
halfway into
text
the
on
next
there.
wall.
Yeah.
There
So
was
the text-
tiny.
We had to line up
Yeah.
There was
text,
like
everything.
3 paragraphs of text in that.
It was this big
in
quote
that
with a
print.
big bear.
Stars
with
and
Stars and
stripes, the
stripes.
bear.
Had to
It
line
was
up.
very complicated, detailed.
And I remember. I think this is why it's not like the biggest, because the other one was the bigger fail, but it's the most memorable because I was so new, and I remember when Sarah goes, "This isn't gonna line up," and Daniela gets quiet, and my heart drops, and I'm like, because I'm in the conference room, and I'm like, Chief is literally right outside. He's super excited. He's like keeps like walking by and is like,
He's
"Is it
offered his donuts.
Yeah, he offered
He
his
keeps
donuts.
coming in asking if we need
And he's like,
anything.
hey, and I know he's excited to come see it. And we're like 2 panels in, and she's like, she's mad. She's mad. And she's like, are you sure you sized this right? And I'm like, I thought, I didn't even, and my heart was sunk. And she's like, yeah, this is not we're going to have to go and reprint this. And to add insult to injury, to put more salt on the wound, the night before, we already had to reprint, right?
No, I stayed till
You
like
stayed till
that's
like
what it was.
12
after
o'clock.
midnight.
He stayed
And then I
really late.
came back early
5
to
or
cut
something.
everything.
And then to let everything off gas.
And to I spent so much time.
So long, and then for it to be
I got
wrong.
the news.
He got the news. Everyone was mad. I debated not going back to the shop that day.
No, the worst part was we all went to lunch together afterwards. We just sat there.
I didn't want to go to
silently.
lunch.
It was so painful.
It was very,
my
and I
gosh.
knew, like there was no like, well, it could have been someone else's fault. Like it was 100% my fault, and I had to go and tell Chief, hey, and I was, hey, listen, I messed up. You guys, if I mess up, I own up to it. Say, hey, I messed
do,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, you do.
And I had to tell him, hey, and he's like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, listen, we're going to have to come back tomorrow. And he was like, oh, man. And I was like, listen, I missized it. I know I came in yesterday and sized this, and I did not size it correctly. And so we're going to have to come back tomorrow. And he was very gracious as he is. And that's when he started, he's like, okay. And he's like, well, yeah, no worries. Like, what time tomorrow? And then we're like, we'll be here. We're going to redo it. We're gonna have to
Dan
take
will stay
everything.
late.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about
He'll
it.
do
Dan
it.
Don't
will
even
stay
worry.
I
late.
got it all
Don't
taken
worry.
care of.
Our team is the best in the
people will
business.
contact
My
your
people will call your people. And he was like, that's okay. And he's like, well, I'll bring you guys donuts in the morning. But I'm like, no, Chief, you don't have to do all that. It was a mistake. And he was like, listen, man, it was even more painful because he was,
He was
so
so nice
nice.
about
Yeah.
it.
And I'm like, just
yell at me.
just yell at me, Chief. Just say, you incompetent, whatever. But he was very gracious. And they've been a great
Insult.
account. And he's been a great client ever since still. Because we went back and we fixed it and we took care of it. And it still to this day is so cool. It's so cool. It makes a statement. But yeah, that was good. And then like 6 months,
No,
that happened
a little bit longer.
a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it was,
It was
yeah,
like almost
yeah,
a
almost a
year
year
later.
later. Then I made it a bigger boo boo, sizing
Quite
up,
literally.
Sizing.
quite literally bigger. Yeah, we're laying graphics in a gymnasium, and I eyeballed the size of.
This is the first time I've heard the truth come out. He eyeballed it.
I eyeballed. Well,
Oh
I like
my
laid.
gosh.
Okay, I had my
please
It's about
excuse me.
We're about to get re-mad
I-
about this.
I had my measuring tape, but the graphics up middle of this gymnasium, and they didn't move the things at the time, and so I just like looked, and then I put the measuring tape on the floor, and I'm like here, and I had like our account like here, hold this side, and I'm like measuring on like the gymnasium floor, like.
And
then I
imagining what that
stand-
would look like on the
Yes,
wall.
then I took a step, 10 feet or so back, and would be like.
That's about right.
That's I don't know. I was like, that should work. And the girl's like, yeah, if you think so, I think that'll be good. And I was like, yeah, we'll make it look. I'm like, we'll make it look real good. And we did. I did not
did. It
lie,
came
and
out
it did
good.
come out. And I
It
think
was just triple the size.
I think what was even worse too was I wasn't also there to try and help fix my mistake. I was out on vacation, and not vacation. Yeah, I was
When we were installing.
when I was. It was in July, and I was out, at youth camp. Doing some stuff, and I remember spotty service, and I get a hotspot from one of the camp counselors, and I'm like, hey, I just need to check my work phone because we didn't have service up there, and I just remember the texts starting to pile through, and Dan was so you could tell when Dan texts when he's really mad, at least maybe I imagined it but I didn't imagine it because he was really mad, and I remember the text. It was a couple texts.
I'm not like
and
mean mad. I'm just
He's
disappointed.
he's disappointed, which is even worse. He's disappointed, mad.
Yeah,
Like
that's-
he's not going to yell, but in his text messages, and he's like, he says some stuff before, and he's like, I don't think you measured it right, something, and then he's like, call me, and then it came in again, call me as soon as you can, and I was like, I do it, and
Turned
he's
off
like,
my hotspot.
Yeah.
And I went back down the
turned off my
mountain.
hotspot, and I said, listen, I didn't get the text. Dude, I felt so, and then I couldn't focus at camp after because I was like, this is exactly what I was hoping wouldn't happen, but it happened, and it was flashbacks to the thing. And but you guys fixed it. But then after when I come back, then I hear the stories of some of the other small mess ups that wouldn't be big in and of themselves, but because of my huge mess up,
I think
made
they were
everything
all
worse.
pretty decent.
But it just made that whole day from what you
Oh, you
from
mean
what
just in the day in
like
general?
throughout the day when like
Yeah.
Dan had to go back to the shop and you didn't want to
We
go.
had to remeasure everything. We had to remeasure
Yeah.
the signs. I had to like on the fly because we had to install it.
Because you had to install it
know,
that day and the next day, right?
The day
Yeah.
and the next day because we had the lift and yeah, I had to like okay.
Yeah, you rented
That
a
day
lift.
started,
Oh,
we
wow.
had to go
Yeah.
drive a lift on the freeway off the back of the trailer.
Yeah, I'm
So it
sorry,
was-
guys.
It wasn't.
But I
It was
think
worked
we
out.
learned through all those things. And
Yeah.
But
it
I
makes us
It came out
better.
great. It looked amazing. At the
it
end.
came out
Yeah.
really cool.
At the end of the day, I just had to stop, and then I just was like, everything's gonna be okay.
When Dan gets stressed, he sings to himself. Not to himself, but he starts to like hum, or he's to try and calm himself down.
Things won't always be this way.
Hey, you guys hated on
When
that
he
song.
measures wrong.
That song's fire. That song's fire.
Daniela's favorite.
Yeah, I don't like. It's fine.
She's like, I mean, that song's fine.
It's true. Everything will be okay.
Can
Anyways.
we add reverb to that later?
Yeah,
In post.
in post.
No, that job was it's like a cornerstone job for us. We reference it a lot.
Yeah.
We learned a lot from it.
But
Is that
like-
where tuna came from?
No, tuna.
Tuna
came from
Tuna
the
came
first
from
one?
the Selma
Yeah.
PD. Tuna was pretty early into his tenure
Tuna,
at Print
tuna,
Theory.
tuna.
Tuna.
I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake it.
Tuna.
That's our nickname for Brando.
Yeah,
And Brando's also another nickname.
Brando. Yeah.
Tuna.
Well, guys, this has been fun. Oh, guys. Okay, just because it was a big thing with this last episode, which we didn't realize. I didn't realize it was going to be this big, but when we really we could. Can we put this in the beginning? Maybe we can put this. I don't know. Anyways, so Disneyland. We heard this Disneyland trip, and Tuesday on our way here, we make live this podcast, and it's already started to get some good traction, guys. And so I'm super excited. Like it's been really cool. The responses we've been getting from it have been really cool. We're shooting it out to different people, and people were commenting. And the main thing that they started commenting was people were concerned about my hydration, apparently.
Lack thereof.
Yeah, my lack thereof hydration. And people are commenting, keep Brandon hydrated. Or Darren from Kingsburg Honey is like,
Shout out Kingsburg Honey.
Shout out Kingsburg Honey. He's like, when can I go into the shop and get my hydration test?
They walk up to my desk, pinch their index finger.
Then they're just going to go, all right, get out.
And
Here's some
we
water.
have bottled water ready to go.
For those who are dehydrated.
And anyways, so I thought it was funny because I had posted, and then I'm posting on my Instagram, and it was like yesterday, I think it was, and I post a picture of Prime, the Prime hydration drink that I was drinking, and I post it, and I'm like, does this count? And I at us, at our Print Theory account, I'm like, does this count? Because you guys don't say it does, and I think it does, because it literally says hydration drink on there. And so I do it, and then I tag Prime, and they responded, guys. I know I showed you guys, but I was pretty happy. They responded with like the 100, that, and I'm like, dope. And I go, oh, now's my chance. Get it while it's hot.
They're
and
online.
So they're active now. The green bubble. And so I respond back and I say, please help me convince my team, like that this counts as hydration. And they go, legendary hydration. Nate can even throw up the thing on the screen if you want. I have a screenshot. I saved it.
So it's Prime approved.
It's official Drink Prime approved, guys.
Nice.
Icy Pop.
Way to go.
Shout out. I stayed hydrated that day.
Well,
I did wake up with a headache this morning, though.
Did you drink all of it?
that's
Yeah, I drank all of it.
suspect.
You drink all of it?
Yeah. It wasn't the drink, though.
It
Yeah,
has
it was
nothing to do
not
with the drink.
No, not at
It was because the churro we had.
Churro count was pretty low this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad about
I
that.
only got one churro.
Yeah.
No, we got two.
What's up with that?
I only
Me and
got
Dan
one.
got two.
Y'all got two, yeah.
Just wasn't feeling it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I was afraid of ruining my appetite because I've been,
You've been burned before.
yeah.
All I know is this was a fun trip, guys.
Yeah.
Super
It
fun.
was
This
really
fun.
fun.
Thank you so
Really
much,
good.
Dan, for taking us out here, bringing us all out here.
Thank you guys. It's an honor to be able to do this for you guys, and it's fun.
Dan, don't get emotional now.
I'm not crying at all.
I'm not crying. I just got such a good team.
It's
We didn't force
awesome
him to say
team
that.
building.
Yeah.
We did a mandatory team building exercise. We purchased one turkey leg, and everyone had to take a bite out of it. Some did not participate.
Some? You mean
They
you?
will be getting their severance packages
They will
in the
be getting
mail,
their
myself included.
Wait, I'm
They will
getting a
take an Uber
severance
home.
package?
Our owner is no longer our owner. I'm just kidding.
He didn't buy the turkey leg.
He didn't buy the turkey leg. Okay, but let's talk about how you guys peer pressured our producer Nate into biting when he obviously didn't. He was showing all the
I
signs
don't
that
think
he didn't want to.
We convinced him to.
Oh, you just that's okay. That's true. He
If
did
you're one
choose.
of us,
You-
If you're one of us, you'll bite the turkey
we
leg.
circled around him and we're staring at him, and people proceed to tell him like, "You need to bite it."
Eat
And
it.
He's like, "I'll eat it," and he goes to pull off a bite, and they go, "No, you have to bite
it
it."
took him a good 10, 15
Sarah
seconds
said,
to think
"Get your
about
jaw
it.
on that thing."
Get your jaws around that big moment. And he partook reluctantly, but it was good, right, Nate?
And then he hands it to me, and I'm like, nobody's making me take it.
Yeah, and we're like, "What?" And then Daniela's like, "Yeah, I'm not. Nope, not gonna make me do it."
I took a little, piece with my finger.
Yeah, I
but
pulled some off.
Yeah.
So
I still
then-
partook.
So me and Dan had to carry the torch, and we had to finish that turkey
and you
leg.
I
guys did
chomped that
good.
sucker
We
down.
we both chomped on that sucker.
Yeah.
It was
You did
good.
You done did good.
We done did good. There was a lot.
You done did
Stuff
I was thinking about getting another one waiting for you guys to come back from Guardians.
Guardians.
but I was afraid to.
Mm.
I would have finished it with you. We would have shared it.
I know, but I was afraid of throwing up on One of the rides.
Yeah,
One of the
fair.
rides.
One of the
The
rides.
Ferris wheel.
Oh my
Oh
gosh, the
my
Ferris
gosh.
wheel.
That
Made me
destroyed me.
sick. I
Ah.
will never go.
I'm
on
only
that.
gonna go one time.
California
ever,
Adventure.
every time.
Don't go on the Ferris wheel.
The swinging Ferris
The
wheels.
swing. Oh yeah, the swinging ones. That was
You
terrifying.
swing back and forth and circle through the air at the same time. There's no seatbelts or anything to hold on to. They're
They've
just shaking around in there.
You're shaking it. And they're sliding doors. They just close. There's no locks
I'm
or anything.
Sure that they're locked. They wouldn't.
They seem like they
they're
do
probably like
'cause
air
they-
locked on the bottom or
Yeah.
something.
Like
I don't-
Or flat, and then they
Yeah.
twist it, and then they open it.
Really?
Yeah, and then they lock it.
They wouldn't let you up. That's a
Yeah,
huge
it's
liability.
dangerous.
It felt
Sue
scary.
the pants off of them.
I'm suing the pants off you.
Dan almost puked.
Yeah, Dan had his
I had
Barf
two
bags?
barf
Barf bag
bags
ring.
in my
They
hand.
legit have burf
bags.
They got some burf bags right. We got on the ride and immediately Dan's in the middle of me and Ryan.
I'm like, I'm not
And,
feeling too
yeah,
good.
we
Little
get in
Dan,
and he
little
goes, for real, there's barf bags right there. And I look over and I'm like, oh snap, there are. And so he's like, give me one. And I pull one and I give him two just in case.
Yeah.
And I was like, we just got off of Guardians, right? We just get off of Guardians.
Yeah.
And everyone's feeling fine. And we're like, let's go to the, like, how bad could it be? Like, it's a Ferris
Ryan
wheel.
was like, let's go on the Ferris
You're
wheel.
right,
Let's go on the
Ryan.
swinging
Notice
Ferris
how
wheel.
Ryan's not on this podcast.
Because he's recovering from
He's
the
recovering
Ferris
from
wheel.
the Ferris
Notice how
wheel.
Ryan has not been feeling good this whole trip.
Yeah.
We
Probably
were-
hear it.
We were worried about the chain reaction that might occur.
Yeah.
That
I was
was
like, if Dan starts
Dan threw
barfing,
up.
I'm gonna see it and then hear it.
And then I'm gonna start barfing.
What if I start barfing?
then we're all gonna start barfing from 50 feet, from 100 feet in the air.
Torture. Oh my gosh.
It was scary, guys.
It was not
It was
good.
slow.
3 times around.
Just keep going.
Do you guys are you guys really okay? I know Sarah's like that. Your wife. I know.
I'm not really like that, but I don't want to be trapped in a cube 50 feet in the air with everyone else around me
I
throwing
never
up.
get motion sick. Like I've never had that.
No,
but
no.
after
Like,
that
are you
thing-
like triggered by other people throwing up, where it'll make you throw up?
Oh, I might be.
He's like, oh,
In
you want
that
to try?
specific situation,
Yeah, I
Can we try?
probably would.
Nah, I
I can
think
gag real quick.
I think
No,
depending
don't
on the
do it.
person, I'd laugh.
What?
Like I like.
Wow.
What
my
if you were throwing
friends-
up? He's like, well, I guess I couldn't laugh.
Okay,
while
so
throwing.
next time if Dan's
Just
ever
point and
throwing
laugh.
up,
Just
we'll
point and laugh.
point and
Point and
laugh.
laugh. Smile and wave.
smile and wave, boys.
Smile and wave.
But that was a fun trip, guys, and we ended off with Incredicoaster, one of our favorite rides,
Yeah, super fun.
and we had a good time.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
really fun.
Team is very built. Sarah got to join us for a
teams
day,
built different.
Yeah.
which
Stinkers.
was awesome. It was good.
Great.
Yes. It was a great trip. This has been a great episode. Hey, thank you so much, Dan, for helping us out here. We're tired, guys. It's nighttime. But thank you to everyone for listening who has stayed on this far. We're gonna keep this going for the next couple weeks or the next couple episodes. Again, if you have any print fails that you have done or know of, you can send them on into us. I realized last week I did not say where to send. I said send it in.
How do you
And
send
then
those in?
how do I send it in?
Message.
Do you know what?
at
Just
Print
message
Theory Co.
at Print Theory Co. Yeah, just DM us the certain stories. If you want to stay anonymous, that's totally
Yeah.
fine. You can. But if you want the shout out, you also can. I'm super excited for the new guests that we're going to be getting on probably in the next couple episodes here. We are going to be at ISS next week. So we're going to try and get some content there at ISS on the floor. There's going to be a lot of people from the print industry. So we're going to try and get some people on a couple of these episodes.
Are we gonna? Are we gonna record there?
Yeah, I'm going to try and record there on the floor or somewhere during
Recording
Rockfest.
somewhere.
I'm recording somewhere.
something.
We're going to record something somewhere.
Get our own
Somehow,
table.
Some way.
Somehow, some way. We're going to do this. It's going. It's happening.
Cool.
So,
Alrighty.
alrighty. That was good, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Boom.